Sometimes I just want to put out a PSA to all owners who want to feed raw or currently feed raw and just say, remember, don't do this. I get messages often from owners that have either not done the necessary research or simply don't know better when it comes to what I'm about to talk about. So this inspired me to make a video on 2 major no-nos that every pet owner should know when feeding their pet raw. The first being starving your pet into eating raw. This is a very important subject that I feel needs to be talked about a bit more. For new raw feeders, the transition process won't always be easy when switching a kibble-imprinted pet to a raw diet, especially when they're an adult. The smell, temperature, texture, and taste are completely different, so there will be a learning curve during the initial weeks of transitioning. There are a few methods used to ease pets onto a new diet, which are always encouraged for adults since they aren't as receptive as puppies, kittens, and kits during a cold turkey switch. Unfortunately though, there are owners who are unaware of these methods, or even just ignore this advice entirely. I received a message from an owner once who decided to switch their cat to a raw diet. They removed their old food immediately and replaced it with raw food. The cat, of course, was confused by the new food and refused to eat it. The owner continued offering the raw food for days, but the cat still refused. After multiple days without eating, the owner messaged me asking for advice on how to encourage their cat to eat. And once I learned their method was essentially starving them into eating, I immediately educated them on the dangers. Fasting affects cats and ferrets differently than dogs. After 3 to 4 days without eating, a cat's liver begins to utilize stored body fat for energy. This can overwhelm the liver and lead to fat accumulation in and around it. This is how hepatic lipidosis, or fatty liver disease, begins. This is most often seen in obese cats, but there's a risk of it happening to any cat. Fasting ferrets can be just as dangerous, as they have a very quick metabolism and therefore need to eat often. To put this into perspective, it's suggested to fast a healthy dog or cat around 10 hours before a surgery. For ferrets, it's only about 4 hours. Having no source of food is especially dangerous for ferrets that have insulinoma, as they can become hypoglycemic very quickly from the drop in blood glucose. Issues similar to this can arise in older dogs as well, especially if they're diabetic. For healthy adult dogs, going a few days without eating is less concerning than it is for cats and ferrets, but starving them into eating a new food is never a good approach. The second major no-no is removing all fat from the meat. Over the years, fat has gotten a bad rap when it comes to our own diets. It's pointed at for raising our cholesterol, making us gain excess weight, and causing heart issues down the line. Because of this, some owners apply the stigma when making their pets raw meals as well, and tend to trim off a lot of the fat when they see it. On top of this, some owners start to grow fearful that fat in the diet will cause pancreatitis. While us humans often utilize carbohydrates for energy, cats, dogs, and ferrets utilize fat, so this is a very important part of their diet. I received a message from an owner who started feeding their young, healthy dog a raw diet, but was wondering why they were losing weight. I asked her if she was counting calories or just feeding based on the dog's weight. And to my surprise, she was actually feeding the correct amount of calories necessary for her dog's ideal weight. I wanted to dig a little deeper, so I then asked if she was removing fat from the meat by chance. And this was where the problem lied. She admitted that she was cutting all the fat she saw off in fear that it could cause pancreatitis, and I immediately let her know the implications of doing this. Removing an energy source from a diet, whether that be carbohydrates or fat, and only providing calories from protein may cause something called protein poisoning. Without the balance of protein and fat in the diet, an increase of ammonia, urea, and amino acids can build up in the blood. On average, adult dogs need about 10 to 15% fat in their diet, and cats and ferrets need about 20 to 25%. Active adults may require a bit more to supply them with the energy that they need for whatever they're doing. It can seem scary knowing that you could be missing important information when feeding your pet a raw diet, but there are many resources and people out there that can help you. I have many helpful videos if you're a beginner. Watch these videos if you're ready to start your pet's raw feeding journey.